What's up, guys? My name is Patriot Fist, and today we are talking about all 13 episodes of Punisher Season 1. Let's get to it. Guys, remember to hit the subscribe button if you like what you see. We do nerd news about movies, comics, games, anything that I feel like talking about right here on this channel, so make sure that you subscribe. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a dislike if you didn't. Just a reminder that there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen it, take the 1 or 2 weeks it's going to take you to watch this and make sure that you watch it before you come back here and watch this video with me. So first off, who is the Punisher? The Punisher is a man named Frank Castle. Frank Castle's entire family was killed in a shooting, and he is on a roller coaster of revenge as he finds out who was in charge of those killings, and he takes revenge on each one of those people all the way up to who knows where. Maybe that's a spoiler. Maybe I don't tell you right now. What can I say about this to start off? Honestly, it was just super long, okay? That's the fact is I really liked this show, but it was so long. If I have to watch another boardroom meeting, I am going to literally throw my TV out of my front window. All right, this has been an awesome series, and all of the Marvel Netflix shows have been fantastic, but at the end of the day, they are just too long. Figure out some way to fit what you need to into like 8 episodes, because the amount of time that I have to watch somebody look in a room and just be like, is too much. As far as the actual action, I will say when it is on 110%. You can see from the very first episode when they decide that Frank Castle's about to murder somebody, he does it with extreme prejudice. It is insane, some of the stuff that they are doing in this show. Unfortunately, because it is so much about the boardroom meetings and so little about the actual action, there is not that much to go around. In the 13 episodes, I really felt like there was a lot of times where I was just sitting around waiting for the next thing to happen. Okay, it's the Punisher, right? He's not punishing. He's hanging out with some other guy's family. He's going to a board meeting. It happens all the time. I'm serious. And again, that brings me to another big problem, which will just take a second if you'll indulge me, is that the Marvel Netflix seasons are just too long. Now, please do not misinterpret what I'm saying. I love the shows. They're fantastic. All of the street level superheroing that goes on in these shows is an awesome contrast to the big world breaking stuff that happens in all of the movies. But at the end of the day, I want to see the superheroing. I don't want to see the staring around endlessly into an empty room. Unfortunately, for every time that we see Daredevil clear out an entire hallway full of thugs, we see Luke Cage get his neck hit with a broken beer bottle and nothing happens to him, or the Punisher literally lodges a sledgehammer inside of someone's soul, I have to watch a boardroom meeting. I'm serious. There's so many boardroom meetings. Please stop. I'm asking you, please stop. I will say, in the Punisher's defense, I really did like both of the main villains that were in this season. There have been times in other shows, Luke Cage, where there was an awesome villain at the beginning of the season, Cottonmouth, and then halfway through the season, he dies, and then for the rest of the season, I have to watch someone who says he's his brother and wears some kind of weird, low-budget Iron Man outfit not get hit in the face by Luke Cage when he could obviously just get hit in the face and it would be done. So back to the Punisher. This was actually a pretty deep place that Marvel decided to take this. There is a lot of talk about PTSD, gun control, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of it isn't really that one-sided. I mean, you might see one side saying this, one side saying that, and you get to see both sides of the issue. Gun control, for instance, there's a whole episode about gun control, and you don't necessarily feel like they're pushing one agenda. Here's one side, here's the other. You make up your mind, but we're not going to push anything like what happens sometimes in media. Going back to the PTSD element of this show, there was a lot of talk and a lot of dealing with the reoccurring horrors that come from being in war environments for long periods of time. You see multiple people in this show really deal with that back and forth of, am I even really here? Is the US really home for me anymore? Or is it war? And it was really interesting to see those people deal with those different facets of their life and trying to come to grips with who they are here as opposed to who they were there. And some people do a much better job of it than others. So starting off with the cast, I thought the actor who played the Punisher did a fantastic job. Some people are saying that he's a little bit small, but honestly, I don't see it. When my man's got a sledgehammer, he doesn't look small at all. If anything, he might look dense and like light, but that's just so he can do his job better. The other main character was Micro, and Micro is an ex-CIA agent who is in charge of all things computers and technical yada yada yada. They don't really go into specifics, but you know, if there's anything to do with computers, he knows how to do it, and he knows how to do it better than the other guy. There's also a couple of other little minor sidekicks, like Kurt, who is Frank Castle's buddy from back in the day, back in the service, who is missing a leg and is trying to help other soldiers kind of get past their wartime. And the other person, and that brings me to an entire different segment, is Karen Page is actually pretty prominent in this season. And that brings me to my next thought, which is the crossover between the other Netflix Marvel properties. The problem is that there weren't that many crossovers to speak of. I actually really liked that they kept this super grounded. In a lot of the other seasons, you've got superpowers like, you know, the Iron Fist or Jessica Jones' super strength, Luke Cage's invulnerability, even Daredevil's like super senses, but Frank Castle doesn't have any of that. He's just the best at what he does, and what he does is killing people. So through all that, you see a much more grounded story, and ultimately there's only one time when they even reference anything happening outside of what's going on in this season. So ultimately, Frank Castle figures out who has been framing him, the reason his family ended up dying, and he goes after people at the top ranks of the government, namely Agent Orange. After finding Agent Orange, he ends up getting captured and has one of the most gruesome torture scenes that I've seen in regular television ever. Honestly, it was incredibly realistic and a little bit gross at times. After all this, he finds out that one of his best friends, maybe even his best friend, Billy Russo, has actually been a part of the same plot that got his family killed. And you actually see a time when him and his family were best friends and were hanging out with Billy. And that's crazy stuff. The amount of emotion that that packs in to the way that Castle feels about all of this just really adds a lot to the story. I will say, if you feel like you can make it past the first maybe half of the season, the second half gets so good, and it almost makes me wish that we could have just skipped like the first 4 or 5 episodes and just gone straight into the second half of the season. It gets so much better. If you can make it, it's worth it if you can handle this kind of content, but honestly, it is very, very good. So the question is, do I want another Punisher season? And the answer is absolutely, but please, just make it shorter. Just make it like 8 episodes. That's all I want. I want 8 awesome, like action-packed episodes of The Punisher. Let him just get crazy, bloody, and cut up, and stabbed, and shot, and all this craziness, and he just goes, and just deals with all of it. He jumps off of stuff, and it's awesome. Just make it shorter, please. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because I don't want to have to watch 13 hours of content within a small amount of time, but it really seems like the 8 episode system works better, and we saw it work better with Stranger Things. Everybody loves Stranger Things, so what's the problem with 8 episodes in the Marvel Universe? I don't know. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Either way, thanks for watching. I'm Patriot Fist, and I'll see you in the next one.